Don't stop.
You make me wanna say, oh, oh,
Oh
my God.
we gotta fight. Oh, baby, baby.
It has ruined careers, is banned in certain countries, and is accused of invading the privacy of its users. It is also one of the most popular sites on the internet.
So I just want to say thanks. You've all made Facebook what it is today. You really have created a worldwide movement.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be learning more about the history of Facebook. Facebook was founded in February 2004 by Harvard roommates Mark Zuckerberg, Dustin Moskovitz, Chris Hughes, and Eduardo Saverin. Originally designed to help people communicate effectively online, Facebook evolved to become a forum for information sharing as well. Today, Facebook is by far the largest image sharing site in the world. Since then, Facebook has become the largest social networking site in the world, surpassing rival MySpace in April of 2008. By August of 2010, Facebook leapfrogged over Google as the property on which users spent the most time. This year also marked another milestone for Facebook, crossing 500 million users with no signs of slowing down.
500 million is a nice number, but the number isn't what really matters here. What matters are all of the stories we hear from all of you about the impact your connections have had on your lives.
Mark Zuckerberg was the last founding member to remain with Facebook. A special clause in his contract allows him to stay on as CEO for as long as he chooses. As of 2010, the Wonder Kid owned more than a quarter of Facebook's stock and controlled 3 of 5 board seats. His success did come at a price, however.
We can create a web that is more social, personalized, smarter, and semantically aware.
As well as satisfy average user needs.
The web is going to get a whole lot better.
Despite wide...
He said that our relationship had hit a dead-end street. A dead-end street. Right? But we said, look, if it's hit a dead-end street, you can't keep going the way you've been going. You may have to turn back. And then we realized that English had a lot of expressions in which love was seen as a kind of journey. So, for example, you could say of a love relationship, it's been a long, bumpy road. You could say things like, we're going in different directions. We're at a crossroads in the relationship. You could say the marriage is on the rocks. It's off the track. We're spinning our wheels. And even an airplane image, we may have to bail out. Take a parachute. How can you think in terms of a metaphor? I mean, the classical theory of metaphor doesn't talk about thinking in terms of a metaphor. How does this work? So we looked at a case. We said, okay, let's suppose you take something like, we're spinning our wheels in this relationship. What do we know about spinning the wheels? Well, there's an image. The image is that there's a car, and the wheels are turning. Is the car moving? The car is not moving. It's stuck. It's stuck in America. The term spinning your wheels applies to a case where the car is not moving. It's stuck in ice or sand or snow or something like that. The wheels are digging in, and the more you turn them, the more they dig in. Okay? So in this case, what you have is the vehicle is not moving. You put a lot of energy into getting it moving. You're trying to rock the car, move it, or get the wheels going, and so on. And you feel frustrated. Okay? Now, what about in a love relationship? When you say we're spinning our wheels in this relationship, it means the relationship is not going anywhere. No progress toward common life goals. Secondly, it means you're putting a lot of energy. You want it to go somewhere. You're putting energy into it, and you feel frustrated. That is, the reasoning that you do about travel is being mapped onto the reasoning you do about love via this mathematical mapping that covers our travel, the vehicle is the relationship, and so on.
This project was originally about interviewing people in the workplace and their usage of Facebook in the workplace and seeing that if I can find an internal connection using the groundwork theory. Well, things changed after speaking to Dr. Key over this break, whereby he sent me a study on systematic metaphors, and that's when I started to do a little bit more research, and I came along conceptual metaphors, and I found that more interesting and to take my paper to that, because after listening to the interviews and going over the transcripts, I found that people used very vivid metaphors to describe their experiences with Facebook, or to describe Facebook as it is more than just a device, that it's giving the perception that it is emotion or something that does something to them, or like a task or an object. So I decided to go ahead and take that approach by using, and I studied a little bit more about conceptual metaphors, and so this is what I decided to pull out for this video, because I do want it to be short and sweet for you all. I decided to pull out my top 3 favorite metaphors out of all of them, and I got about 15, 16 of them, but these are my favorite ones, top 3. And what I decided to do with them is I went ahead and I put the audio of the person saying it, but I also gave the vivid description of what the metaphor is. So let's see if you can figure out what the metaphor is in the sentence that they're saying. Here we go.
Where it's like people can actually really dive into it.
I have like one for family and one for friends. So mainly my friends, when includes like my friends middle school, high school, college, some of my residents, other RAs, and my other Facebook is just mostly all family people that I know. I think for me it's just a lot easier to balance it, because family is involved with friends and 2 different generations coming together. I just don't want any clashes, nothing. So
when you say clashes,
Facebook has solved the problem for me.
can you give me an example?
Me and this young lady, we didn't like each other very much, and we actually had a powwow over Facebook. We're friends with a boss or something like that. Something you say can trigger them to think of you differently in the workplace.
The difference of Twitter and versus Facebook for you?
Twitter really Facebook, I feel like it's falling off. In Twitter, you just kind of speak your mind more, like it's more constant, like people.
And that was just a few of the metaphors. Like I said, I have 15 of them, and those were my favorites, especially the one with the powwow, because it's like as soon as she said powwow, I started laughing. I had to edit that out, because when she said powwow, the first thing that came to my mind was like a get-together with Native Americans, like Pocahontas came to my mind. So I thought that was interesting. In conclusions, what I found was that people use very vivid language when they are describing things that means more to them than just being generic. So, for example, when she said that she had an incident with another girl and they didn't like each other, and they used Facebook for a powwow, she used that descriptive term because it was something that she could relate to, that it was something that mattered to her. But when I found that people who spoke just in generic, well, Facebook, it helps me connect to friends. Facebook is just for talking to friends. When they were being more generic, they didn't use the vivid language, and so it was like I couldn't pull any metaphors out. It was as if I can make up metaphors for what I think they're going towards, but I couldn't pull out exact lines that they were saying like I did in these 3, or like you'll find in the paper. So that's one thing I noticed. And one thing that I did notice is that when I was going back listening through the interviews, people do not finish their thoughts. It's like I feel that people think faster than they talk, so they don't finish their thoughts, and it's not a complete thought, thereby I think leading to a generic answer and not as descriptive as it should be when it's probably dealing with something that's personal. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay.